This is April 27th, 2023, and I'd like to weigh in this morning on the incident with the Dalai Lama and the boy that happened this past winter, February, I think. So I feel compelled to do this because the incident has been broadcast so widely. In fact, here where we're living now, even non-Sangha friends of ours, definitely non-Buddhists, have raised it gingerly, asking what that's all about. And there's much more to it than meets the eye as far as what has widely been reported. So here's the deal. For those of you who haven't heard or you need a refresher, in February 28th, there was a video released of an interaction between the Dalai Lama and an Indian boy, leaving many of the 6.7 million Tibetans across the world in distress and shock over the way their language and culture were misinterpreted. The video, which went viral, shows the Dalai Lama asking a kid to supposedly, in the widely disseminated words, to asking a kid to suck his tongue. And this led to public outrage and led to hundreds of Tibetans coming out and telling the world it's not what it sounds like. So in the video, it's about a 5-minute video, maybe less. I watched it a couple of times. The boy is seen asking the Dalai Lama for a hug. And after that, the Dalai Lama blessed him and asked him to kiss him. And then the Dalai Lama stuck out his tongue saying, "Suck my tongue." And this led to people across the world blaming the Dalai Lama for behaving inappropriately and even being a pedophile. People are across the world every day are just itching to find things to be outraged about online. So some of this I'm reading from Vice World News. The meaning of this expression, which the Dalai Lama kind of bungled in his broken English, the meaning of it is used to tease and teach children, and that it's completely lost in cultural interpretation and its English translation. The correct phrase in Tibetan for this little teasing, joking thing is che le sa, which roughly translates to "eat my tongue." The Dalai Lama didn't learn English, they say, until he turned 48. He didn't start. He still hasn't learned it. It's quite limited, but he didn't start learning it till he was 48. So it's not by no means the first time that he would have misused the English language. Here's more about this Tibetan phrase, che le sa. And I'm reading from the Tibetan Rights Act news or something like that. In Tibetan culture, it is common to see the old grandparents not only give a pop kiss to the small children, but also give a small candy or piece of food to children from their mouths, directly mouth to mouth. This may not be the norm of your culture, but this is commonly done in Tibet. After the elder gives a pop kiss and the candy, and there's nothing left in their mouth, nothing left to give, they will say the phrase, okay, now eat my tongue, not suck, as His Holiness misspoke due to his less proficient English. So the Tibetan phrase is che le sa. They say that as in, I've given you all my love and the candy, so that's it. That's all I have left to, all I have to do is, all that's left to do is eat my tongue. Okay, so that's the linguistic part of all this. Now, there's another aspect to this that is where a certain US-based Tibetan journalist told Vice World News that in Tibetan culture, sticking out the tongue is a sign of respect or agreement. And it dates back to a legend around a cruel 9th century king who had a black tongue. And this same Tibetan-based, US-based Tibetan journalist said, since then, people have shown their tongue as a way of saying that they are not like this evil king. It's a sign of blessing, this journalist said. When a kid wants to hug an elderly man, the old man complies and then gives a kiss as a grandfather or a father would and plays with the kid. Here's more on this. This is a Tibetan feminist educator in India by the name of Kesang. She goes by one name, just Kesang. Kesang told Vice World News that suck my tongue in Tibetan is also a game for the elders to deter cheeky kids from pestering them. The word suck in the Tibetan language is zhip, and this is not a word that is sexualized in our culture, she said. I guess we've established that suck is not correct. It's eat my tongue, and that it's not sexualized. And this Kesang works on the prevention of child sexual abuse in the Tibetan and Himalayan communities, and said that it's distressing to see an innocent expression in their culture being equated with an act of pedophilia. It reads in this article that Vice World News did not get a response from the child's family, who run this certain foundation, M3M Foundation, that organized this February meet and greet in Dharamsala. Dharamsala is the seat of the Dalai Lama's government in exile. But in an interview clip released by Voice of Tibet, a Dharamsala-based media outlet that live streamed the event too, when the reporter asks the boy how it feels to be hugged by the Dalai Lama, he said it was an amazing experience meeting the Dalai Lama and that he experienced high positive energy from the interaction. So let me paint more of a picture of what happened there as far as the very brief video clip that I saw. There are a lot of people in the room. The Dalai Lama is sitting on some kind of a dais, and he has maybe 8 or 10 people up there with him, most of them men. And then just for a moment, the camera turns to the audience. The audience are, well, it's a very tight frame, but all that showed in this one segment of the audience were school children, children from some kind of an academy. They had the mortar boards on their heads, so it was maybe some kind of a little graduation thing at the academy, and it shows the boy. The video starts with the boy standing at a microphone there before the Dalai Lama in his exquisite little boy posture, just like little girl posture, where completely straight, shoulders dropped, and saying to the microphone, saying, "Can I give you a hug?" And this left the Dalai Lama confused. He didn't understand the expression, "give you a hug," and so some 20 or 30 seconds goes by where the people closest to him on his left and his right are muttering, I guess, maybe in Tibetan, telling the Dalai Lama what the boy asked: "Can I give you a hug?" And then as soon as the penny dropped and the Dalai Lama got it, he said, "Yes, come on, come up here." And everyone laughed. Oh, it was all good fun. And then the kid bounded up to the dais, up to the Dalai Lama, and gave him a hug. The Dalai Lama put one arm around the kid, pulled him in close to his shoulder, and then the kid still standing there straight. They sort of separate for a minute, and the Dalai Lama, they're quite close. The heads are quite close. And then that's when the Dalai Lama said, "Now suck my tongue, eat my tongue." And he pulled the kid is Indian. So whether he knew about this Tibetan phrase, I don't know, but he's on board. And Dalai Lama pulls him in close, his head, and they touch foreheads. That's something that is also very common in Tibet. I actually, when I was there for a 5-day conference with the Dalai Lama some 30 years ago at his palace there, he did that with me, forehead to forehead, as he did with the other 20 or so participants, Western Buddhist teachers. And then with this, in this video, the Dalai Lama, let's see, what did he do? Then he stuck out his tongue. Remember, that's the gesture of goodwill. And then there was a pause, and then he said, "Now suck my tongue." And the boy very, very slowly came in, and I actually think the boy's tongue never touched the Dalai Lama's tongue. The Dalai Lama pretty much waited for the boy to come to him, and then there was just general laughter, and that was it. There was a little more where the boy sort of turned to leave, and the Dalai Lama sort of pulled him back, and they hugged again. But there's another important aspect to all this, which is China. And I'll read again from this article in Vice World News. A certain Tibetan filmmaker and music composer told Vice World News that there are immense geopolitical repercussions of the misinterpretation of that video. And he said, everybody knows China is behind this, without giving any evidence that China was involved. It goes on to say that at a press conference on Thursday in Delhi, Penpa Tsering, a political leader of the exiled Tibetan government, said their investigations showed pro-Chinese sources being involved in making the video go viral. The political angle of this incident cannot be ignored, he said. Tibetan human rights groups have previously documented online campaigns aiming to discredit the Dalai Lama and paint occupied Tibet as a, quote, contented and idyllic Chinese province. And the article goes on to say the most prominent campaign is called the 50 Cent Party. And these are internet commentators who are paid Wu Mao, or 50 cents in the United States, by Chinese authorities to post pro-China messaging. In 2020, this army was linked to 7,000 troll attacks and over 50,000 comments at a Geneva forum run by the Tibetan Parliament in Exile. The session was on the persecution of religious minorities, Tibetan Buddhists, Uyghur Muslims, Christians, and Falun Gong practitioners in regions under Chinese control. In his YouTube video, so-and-so linked the virality to a significant development last month. And this article is dated April 14th. Yeah, this is when I came across it quite recently, a couple of weeks ago. So this incident, how it went viral last month, is linked to the Dalai Lama naming a Mongolia-born American boy as the third highest spiritual leader in Tibetan Buddhism. Now, China has consistently asserted its role in choosing the next Dalai Lama, if you can believe that. It's outrageous. And to have this position enshrined in Chinese law. This ceremony which the Dalai Lama named a Mongolian-born American boy as the third highest spiritual leader in Tibet, shook them to speculate that the now retired Dalai Lama still continues to remain a political religious force to reckon with across Buddhist nations, including Tibet. The video surfaced literally a week after this ceremony with the Mongolian boy. The timing was, once again, like clockwork to sway the public's opinion about Tibet and His Holiness. His Holiness is how Tibetan Buddhists all over the world typically refer to the Dalai Lama. We say the Dalai Lama. It's hard for me to say the phrase His Holiness when in Zen we know that there was this encounter back in the 6th century between the Emperor of China and Bodhidharma, the founder of Zen, where the Emperor asked Bodhidharma, what is the first principle, or rather the essence of the holy teaching? And to which Bodhidharma famously replied, vast emptiness and nothing to be called holy. To which the Emperor, having in his mind seeing Bodhidharma as holy, he said, well, then who is standing before me? To which Bodhidharma, even more famously, replied, I don't know. So, nothing holy. And then this fellow said that what he called horrifying accusations by trolls, media, and influencers are clearly led and paid for by China. China has successfully weaponized social media at an unprecedented scale, he said. The most successful propaganda is the one that doesn't pose as such. I have absolutely no doubt that China had a hand in this. Its fingerprints are all over it. China has been trying to get rid of the Dalai Lama ever since he fled China in 1951. He is a thorn in their side, because as long as he is alive, he represents the independence as the government, the leader of the government in exile, Tibet in India. He is the living embodiment of the Tibetan people and their independence. Probably most of you know that after China took over Tibet in 1951, they have, in those 70 some years, they have done everything they can to subjugate the Tibetan people, to try to incorporate Tibet into China. And I don't know, I haven't been tracking it for quite a few years. I know at one point they resorted to interbreeding, where they found a way to compel Tibetans to mate with Chinese as a way of just diluting the whole Tibetan culture. It's pretty ghastly what they've been doing. So aside from China's role in this, most likely his probable role in this, let me just say what I can, weigh in on the likelihood that there's anything seriously inappropriate about what the Dalai Lama did. A few things. He's famous. He has been his whole adult life for being playful. Here's another thing. As I said, it was a room full of people. This was obviously nothing underhanded here. I mentioned his broken English with the word suck instead of the proper word eat my tongue. And most of all, he is, as most of the world will attest, he's someone of just absolutely sterling moral character and reputation. He's a true monk. He took vows of lifelong celibacy, and I've never heard that those are ever broken. On the other hand, he's 87. Men tend to get disinhibited at that age, in their 80s or even 70s, and can say things or do things that they wouldn't have earlier. And now with the advantage of hindsight, or Monday morning quarterbacking, I think it's fair to say that the Dalai Lama, if you see the video, the Dalai Lama was not perfectly faultless in this encounter. And then this is all I mean, is that he if you see him bringing the boy back in after the thing with the tongue, and the boy seemed finished. The boy was starting to turn away, and the Dalai Lama pulled him in again, and against his shoulder, and held him still for quite a while, like 10 seconds or so. The boy seemed okay from what the camera showed. He just held him there, and my impression, right or wrong, my impression is that the Dalai Lama may have been a little clingy. And that too, I can kind of understand. I mean, he's looking at this beautiful, beautiful child, as all children are. The children is just looking straight into his face, just inches from his face, wide-eyed, innocent, as all children are. How old was the boy? Maybe 7? I don't know. I'm bad at guessing ages. But imagine coming out of a sesshin. Those of you who've been to 7-day sesshins and looking at a child, it's it's sublime. And especially in here, I'm going to cut him some slack here. He's been carrying the weight of the whole Tibetan nation, the whole Tibetan culture on his shoulders for 70 some years now. And to have a little interlude there where this beautiful boy is just simply asking for a hug and just standing there, no agenda, all his magnificent simplicity, this child. And I can understand why the Dalai Lama was kind of in thrall to the boy. And I'm sure not for the first time, Dalai Lama loves children. But yeah, I do wonder whether there was, on the Dalai Lama's part, there was a little bit of a lack of the sense of the fitness of things, as Roshi Kapleau, as a phrase I picked up from Roshi Kapleau, a lack of a sense of the fitness of things. That he may not have been picking up on the boy's, where the boy was at. The boy seemed finished before the Dalai Lama was finished. The boy seemed ready to go back to his seat. There was no coercion. It just seemed a little clingy there. So there. That's all I have to quarrel with to pick at with the Dalai Lama's behavior. I think, though, on the whole, I would defend him every day of the year as to what happened there. He did issue an apology, we're told. Someone here asked, well, why, if he's was so innocent, if it was all just this linguistic mix-up and so forth, then why did he apologize? Well, I think one thing that we've learned in seeing politicians get into dust-ups here or there is the fastest way to get beyond it and have people stop chewing on it is to apologize. When in doubt, apologize. You see this all the time in international relations, in government. And I think it's a smart thing to do. He may have been, who knows, maybe the Dalai Lama later felt, yeah, I mean, with his level of self-awareness, which is off the charts, surely. I've once heard the Dalai Lama he starts each day with 6 hours of meditation. That's a lot of self-awareness. So who knows? I'm just speculating here, of course. Maybe he did later think, I was a little clingy there. And anyway, he just wanted to put it behind him. He's a consummate diplomat, the Dalai Lama. He's a world leader. He knows how these things go, and I can easily see him either on his own or at the urging of his advisors, just apologize and let's move on. But I think there's a bigger thing here, bigger Dharma point that I would like to make, which is that, in going back to the Dalai Lama's age and tendency among men to get disinhibited, that there's no fixed person there. This is the Dharma. This is the essence of the Dharma. That the Dalai Lama on a Tuesday is not the same Dalai Lama as on a Monday. This is the teaching of no self. This is what Bodhidharma meant when he said, vast emptiness and nothing to be called holy. The Dalai Lama himself has many times said, I'm just a simple monk. And he allows this term, His Holiness, because that's the tradition. That's been going on for centuries, and I can understand that. But from all of my contact with the Dalai Lama, directly or indirectly, I would very strongly assume that he knows there's no self there. And so, yeah, let's not put him in a box. Let's not think that there's any substance there. There's no little man in there. It's unchanging. from year to year. And I think that's what we can take from this, is that to the small degree that what he did was a little inadvisable, the way he held the boy 2 or 3 times. Let's see that as just further evidence of the Dharma. There's no unchanging person there, as there is nowhere with us. We're so eager to, or habituated, that's a much better, we're so habituated to fixing people, ourselves, of course, but also those close to us and politicians and others as unchanging. And that is relatively true. I mean, we don't change drastically from week to week, but the truth is that we're never the same completely, exactly the same from day to day. This phrase from one of the koans in the Blue Cliff record springs to mind. No holy one to be seen in the Emerald Palace. Or the Dalai Lama's palace. We don't need to make him holy. He's equally endowed with this true self that is no self. Same as us. We are no less so than he. He's no more so than we. He's no little person in any of us. It's unchanging. All right, well, thanks for listening, and carry on.